Hi, this is Megan at Best Biv and Tucker, and today I'm going to show you how to make a braided headband using some t-shirt fabric. So you will need a hair tie, a ruler, and a pair of scissors to cut your fabric. We can do this two different ways. You can do it no sew, just by using a knot, or you can do a little bit of hand sewing, and it's really easy hand sewing. It doesn't have to be exact. So if you want to use this as a first sewing project, that'll work too. You just need a needle and thread, about 2 feet of thread doubled up and with a knot on the end. Okay, so let me show you. So with your head or hair tie, you're going to give it a little bit of a twist and then take one end through and pull it until you make a knot right in the center. This will give our headband a little extra stretch to be able to pull around when it's in the back of our head. If you're going to do the knotted version, see how I've put the 3 ends of my fabric in here and tied a knot onto the fabric, and then I braided it, and then to finish it I'm going to bring it through like this and just tie another knot around itself. So the knotting is really easy. It doesn't have to be a double knot, just a single, but it needs to be tied really tight. And that'll be enough to make a headband like that. But let me show you the sewing method too. All right, so I have 3 strips of fabric. They're about 1 inch wide, and they need to be 2 feet long. If your fabric isn't really stretchy, you might want to make it a little bit longer than that, or if you have a little bit bigger of a head. But if you're doing like a teen or tween size, 24 inches is plenty. Let me show you that knot one more time, just in case you want to see that if you're using the knotting method. So I'm bringing the ends through, just like that, and giving it a knot. There you go. If you're going to sew it, though, let me show you how to do the sewing part. Okay, so same thing. We're bringing the ends through, but I am going to lay them flat on each other. You want to try to keep this end as flat as possible. Okay, so there's my flat fabric. I'm going to fold it down once just to give myself a nice clean edge, and I'm going to bring the elastic up to that. And I'm going to fold it over the elastic. I'm going to tuck the ends in a little bit, just like so. Can you see that? Okay. And then I'm going to use my needle and thread to sew it down. I'm going to start right up on this corner that's far away from the elastic, and I'm going to put my needle right into the middle of this fabric sandwich here and bring it up. And then I'm going to go around probably 3 or 4 times. You can go around the edge. You can just go up and down. It doesn't really matter. All you're trying to do is do 3 or 4 stitches to hold everything in place. So there's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. And then I'm going to go back into the middle of this sandwich and travel along up into the corner up by my elastic and then pop out right in through there. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this corner. I'm just going to go around 3 or 4 more times. I'm not going to go through the elastic. My needle's not going to go through that big thick elastic. It's just sewing close to it. Okay, there's 3 more there. I'm going to go back into my sandwich, fabric sandwich that is, over to the other corner, and there's my needle popping up again. Look here. Can you see that? There's a little bit of loose thread over there. That means one of the pieces needs to be pulled a little bit tighter. Let's see which one it is. There it is. I tugged on it and it went straight. Sewing slowly helps your thread not get knotted. So make sure as you're pulling it that you pull slowly and keep an eye on it so it doesn't look like it's going to twist around each other. There's 2. I'm going to do 1 more. There's 3. And I have one more corner to do. This one's kind of poking out a little bit, so I'm going to make sure I tuck that fabric into the sandwich a little bit before I do the sewing. So back into that sandwich, and I pop up once I get to the corner. That means this whole trail of thread can be hidden inside. It's not on the outside. I'm going to do 3 more stitches over here to hold it all together. And that'll be plenty to hold your headband together. All right, so there's 3 more. And then to lock it into place, I'm going to do inside and then right back out, so they're both on top. I'm going to go through my loops and pull it to make it tight, and then dive it back into the sandwich to hide my end, and then give it a trim. Okay, I'm going to tie another knot in my thread right here before I put it down. That way I won't lose my needle and it'll be all ready to go when I get to the other end. Okay, so the next step is to take this into braid. And if you don't know how to braid, go ahead and YouTube that and look for a video on how to braid. You might want to tape this down to your table or have a friend hold it. But really, I can do it in my hand too once you get really good. And I'm just taking the middle. That's what holds still. And I go over from the outside, and that becomes the new middle. And then I go the other side and go over, and that one becomes the new middle. And then the outside one comes in, and that one becomes the new middle. And then over here, and bring it over, and that one becomes the new middle. Can you see how it's starting to look like a braid? The only thing to think about on doing when you start this is not to make your braid too tight. We want to give our headband room to stretch a little bit, so we don't need a very tight braid. I have one already almost done. Can you see that braid? So here we are, sewn at the top. We braided all the way around. I'm almost down to the end. Once you get close, you want to test it on your head. So I'm going to put it on here, give it a little stretch, make sure. Sometimes, again, if you have a really long piece, you're going to want to cut it and trim it. I'm going to trim my fabric. See how they're different lengths? So I'm going to trim them so my ends here, when I start sewing, will be the same. So I'm just holding it tight. You can even lay it flat down on your table. Let me show you that. So there's one piece. Lay it flat down on your table and then give it a cut. There we go. Okay. And then when you go to sew it, you want to make sure that it's not twisted, right? So we don't want to have it all twisted and then sew it. I want to make sure it's nice and straight. Good. Bring this over here. And I'm also matching. So this side was the flat side and this side was the folded over. So folded over on the bottom. I'm going to make the folded over part on the bottom on this side too. So I'm laying these pieces out flat. Remember how we did that when we started the other side? I'm giving it a little fold so I have a nice neat edge. Bringing the elastic up and then giving it a fold over. Tucking in the corners a little bit. And I want it to be about the same size as the other side too. I don't want just a little one over here and a big one on that side. Although it's going to be in the back of your head. No one's really going to see it. All right, so back to sewing my corners. Do you remember how I did that? I went into the sandwich and then up into one corner. Tucked my tail inside the sandwich so you couldn't see it. And then I did 3 stitches on each corner. 1, 2, 3. Then what? Do you remember? Back into the sandwich and over to the corner. And 3 more stitches. 1, 2, and 3. I have a really big needle that I'm using, hopefully so that you can see it in the video, but any size needle will work. I'm going to fold this corner in. It goes a little twisted, so I'm going to do that before I sew it. Here we go. Back into the sandwich and up once I get to the spot. And sewing this corner. Remember, we're not going into the hair tie. And 3. Good, back into the sandwich. 1. Oh, and I'm almost out of thread. I'm going to need a new piece. Let me show you how to do that. So we want to do a little bit of a knot. And circle this back through so it stays knotted. And then you can trim it. Pull that tight. Tuck it into the middle of your sandwich. And you'll need to re-thread your needle and finish your stitch. And then you'll be all done. Try it out.